Remember when you were a bratty know-it-all teenager, ditching class to smoke cigarettes in the bathroom stalls of your high school with your shitty little friends, and your mother scolded you endlessly about making new friends who would be a good influence on your life? Well, rest assured, your mother was talking about JJ Racaza. JJ Racaza's drive and discipline for not just shooting, but life is incredibly infectious. He goes through life with a laser focus that makes me want to learn to do everything better. Right now, I dry fire for 20 minutes on a Friday, and I feel like I've done something special. However, JJ Racaza dry fire practices every day for at least an hour. And that's just because he can't get to the range as much as he used to, because he makes being a good father a bigger priority.
When you're trying to tackle way too many things in life, you gotta kind of be somewhat organized. It's always been like that since I was a kid. Sometimes I just don't even understand where it's coming from. And it's just like a fire, it just kind of turns on, and all of a sudden I get focused, overly focused. And same thing with this business. At least when I'm starting this business, there's only really me and my buddy just helping me out here. It's basically a one-man show, right? With I'm playing different roles, salesman, back office, general office, and stuff like that. And I knew coming into this, there was things that I had to get rid of things in my life. And I like training. I like working out. I enjoy it. I love shooting. Those are my outlets. And then I have my priorities, family and work.
I'm an instant gratification-aholic, living life for the feeling. All I want is the immediacy of shooting still and mag dumping an AR. I go to the range with loosely tailored goals that I may or may not accomplish on a range trip. My lack of range discipline and training focus is why I'll never be able to do the things with a gun that JJ can do, because it's his discipline and focus on becoming a better shooter that allows him to shoot at a level most people, including me, can only aspire to.
Give me one draw real quick without firing the gun. Shooter ready? Good. All right, so I got one thing.
Okay.
So you break down your draw. This is your draw, right? You go.
Yeah.
So that's your draw and versus mine. You see the difference?
Yeah.
I want you to snatch that gun out of that holster like you're snatching a goldfish from a pond. Or like, let's say your cell phone fell in the toilet. You don't want to spend time in there digging that around. You want to get in and get out. All right?
Yeah.
So get in and get out of that holster.
right.
So give me one more draw. Yes, much better. All right, sir. You ready?
So we're doing the 2-2?
2 and 2. Shooter ready.
Ready.
Stand by. Way faster. You're now at 244. Again, don't get excited.
Gotcha.
All right, let's control it. Let this dictate. Prep and relax. Prep and relax.
Okay.
It's all here. Now, when I came up to this job, I literally had to give up a few things, which is training, fighting, rolling, whatever, working out. I haven't touched a single weight until I got my shipment here in my office, and now I have it in my office, and I'll lift whenever there's some sort of some sort of break. And then shooting competitions is now I really haven't shot, and it's kind of one of those things. But I'm like, I don't want to use it as an excuse. So there's other angles, and I'm like, I've done this before. It can't be a negative. There's got to be some positive I can get out of it. And then my former supervisor used to tell me, he's like, there's always a way. And you feel like you're struggling, and you're kind of starting to drown up and underwater. And it's just like, there's always a way. So I figured, I was like, you know what I can do right now? I was like, I have a time or a minute here or there, late at night when everyone gets quiet, my kids are going to sleep, I'll go and dry fire. I was like, you know what, why not just be the best weapons manipulator out there, at least in this specific platform? And if I can be that, I can have that at least advantage and take that one conscious thought away when I'm manipulating my gun, whether drawing, reloading, or pointing the gun at a target. And my shooting and my timing, I'll just make up for that some other time in terms of my movements.
When you train the way JJ Racaza does, you start to see things differently. Seemingly small things that I would otherwise overlook, he tries to perfect. His focus on such micro improvements ends up making him look like a superhuman with a gun to the untrained eye. It makes me think how much better my life would be if I took the same approach to everything else I do in life, and then also asked the question, what type of person would I become if I had JJ Racaza as a best friend growing up?
Typical training session for me really just focuses on fundamentals and basics. Like I come to the range and I just literally set up the most simplest stuff because I'm trying to have tangible goals that I can measure at the end of the session. I'll go there with the thought in mind going, yeah, I'm gonna need to work on my transitions today. I'm gonna need to work on my splits today. And then I'll shoot, it's just static targets. I don't want to compound and shoot like an elaborate field course, because then there's too many things I can't measure. There's too many, there's too many variables in between. Leading up to a match, I will look at the courses of fire. Let's say it'll be 17 or whatever number, right? I'll look at it and I'll pick areas that I don't like. And I'll set it up in the range, specifically that. And I'll run it at different variant distances from 10 to 15 to 30, 40, 50, depending on how big the target are or whatever my capabilities are that day. And then I just work on it till I feel comfortable.
So basically, so when you didn't turn around and look at it on the day of competition, you're not as scared of it as you were when you first looked at it going into it.
Right. A lot of it is, for me, trying to eliminate a conscious thought. Right? I always believe conscious thought always impedes subconscious performance.
Gotcha.
So if I go in a range, if there's a slight thing in my head that I have to think about or react to, that's a 100th of a second that could hurt me in the game. All right, Colion, you're gonna fire 2 rounds on each target. That's it, all right? As fast and as accurately as you can, all right? Don't go crazy.
All right.
Shooter ready.
Ready.
Stand by. 255, right? Feel a little nervous? You got a little pressure on you? I can kind of see it a little bit, right? That's your competitive juice.
I gotta get the...
Right, so everything looked good in terms of mechanics. There's one thing that I think just in terms of the intensity of coming out of your draw. Obviously, it's your first one, you're not warmed up yet and stuff like that. Just meet and greet a little sooner. Like this was kind of lazy, you just came up here. I want you to like pursue that gun. And there's a purpose to getting out there, like it's a race, right?
Okay.
Stand by. Much better. All right, so you're a second slower, you're 350.77, right? Your first shot was also about 3/4 of a second slower. You went from, actually a half a second slower, you went from 1.5 to 2 seconds. So you basically you slowed everything down, right? It's not that you didn't see your sights, because it was there. I just need you to commit to it. Pull out your gun, aim out to the target. I just want you to aim at the steel back there.
Okay.
Right? What I'm trying to do is help you develop this trigger reset prep.
Okay.
Right? This is where the game is at in terms of being able to do high-speed marksmanship, right? So I want you to aim in. On the buzzer, I want you to fire 1 shot, right? And only on the buzzer. But I won't buzz it unless you've done the trigger prep correctly. I'm looking for one thing and one thing only, and that's you prepping your trigger.
Okay.
Basically, you're dictating how fast you're gonna shoot. If you do it all right, this will go off all day long.
Okay.
But if you're not, there's gonna be a long pause. It's just gonna be awkward with you and I just sitting here, not shooting. All right, go ahead, aim in. Prep the trigger. There you go. Faster, here you go. Faster. Good, exactly. So from here on out, when we shoot this drill again, I want you to think about that. So the gun is ready when it's basically pointed back on target, when it's cycled and it's locked in.
Yeah.
You being ready is when you prep the trigger and you've seen the sights. So I want you to minimize that disparity, because a lot of times the gun is ready and you're still cycling that trigger,
Gotcha.
right?
Okay.
I want you to kind of marry that up where, boom, it's coming down, I'm ready to go, it's ready to go. I'm coming down, it's ready to go, I'm ready to go.
Okay, so I'm not shooting the reset, so to
No,
speak.
no,
Okay,
don't
'cause
shoot the
that's- 'cause
reset.
you-
That's,
Okay.
because that's pin and shoot type thing.
Yeah.
I want to eliminate that. Because pinning the trigger to the rear,
Right,
it's
and
kind
then
of just an
come-
inefficient movement.
Gotcha.
I want you to get out of there because it doesn't do you any good. The gun's ready to fire, and you're still having to reset and feel that trigger. Just a year ago, I was in New Jersey. Just up until a year ago. At that time, I was shooting a gun, like the race gun, that the small magazine, the capacity was 24 rounds. And the big stick was 30 rounds. And over there, we had a limitation of 15 per magazine, maximum. And if you got caught with anything more than that, you could face the potential of going to jail for up to 3 months per magazine.
Now,
and I had 10 magazines easily.
Yeah. And I think for some people, they don't really conceptually understand why that's such a big deal. Now, were you traveling and shooting?
Yes, I think it was 2003. My last travel of the year, this was my 15th travel, and I was going to Guatemala.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, and the guy's like, hey, man, your flight's about to take off. He goes, what are you doing here? I'm like, I don't know, TSA hasn't gotten my gun. I have the keys ready. I don't know. He's like, well, you need to go. We'll call you when it happens. The minute he said that, here comes this guy in the suit and 2 PAPD cops right next to him, walking right up to me. So I'm standing there going, I don't know what's going on. I said, sir, are you Simon Racaza? I said, yes. He goes, can I see your passport? I was like, here it is. And my mom's standing next to me. And he goes, you're under arrest. I said, so what the heck just happened? This escalated quite quickly.
Yeah.
And I said, can you turn around? We'll discuss this later. I said, sir, I'm a decent guy. I was like, man, I don't know what just happened. I'm declaring everything that I have legally, I think. This is the process I've been doing for all year. I don't know if I'm throwing myself under the bus. And they were just like, well, we'll turn around and we'll put the cuffs on you under arrest. We'll discuss this in the precinct. So on the way out, they processed it, went to the precinct, and I just so happened to have done a demo a week before for the chief of that precinct. The chief saw me and he's like, what are you doing here? I was like, well, he's like, what did you do? And I'm like, well, they arrested me for, I think, hollow points. He goes, hold on a second. He goes, I got this. He goes, he's a good guy. He just did a demo. He worked this contract. Take me to this one room, investigation room. He goes, the AUSA, they're calling it AUSA now. It's not our job. Yeah. TSA flags you. We have to go through the process of arresting you. He goes, apparently you're carrying illegal rounds. He goes, it's not. I know the rules. So he actually came back and he highlighted the rules and he said, that's what you give to your lawyer. And I was lucky because I knew the guy and he did that for me. I was just panicked.
Could you imagine if you were not JJ Racaza, at least to them? Jesus Christ, like, if I was just a normal dude who was going to shoot a competition and the same thing happened to me and I didn't know somebody there, where would I be now? Probably in prison. Ever heard the name Shaneen Allen, Brian Aiken? No, that's because they're not badass professional shooters. They're just everyday, regular people who got caught up in New Jersey's insane web of gun control laws that did nothing but put good, honest people in prison. Shaneen Allen was a mother of 2 who was licensed to carry in the state of Pennsylvania. But when she crossed the state line and got pulled over, she had no idea the nightmare she was in for. Brian Aiken moved from Colorado to New Jersey, driving cross country. Before he left, he called local police to find out exactly what to do with his firearm. He had them locked in the back of his car, unloaded, when he was pulled over and arrested. This is what gun control advocates don't realize. They don't know anything about firearms, so they don't understand the implications of their laws. For them, it's all about the rallies, the hashtags, the let's feel like we're doing something sugar high. When you don't care what law you pass, as long as it's something that restricts gun rights, you create bad law. And when you create bad law, good people suffer. How many lives have been saved by New Jersey's ridiculous magazine restrictions, assault weapons ban, and insanely harsh carry laws? No one knows, but my bet, not one. But as long as these idiotic laws remain on the books, good people are going to continue to get caught in a bureaucratic hell that looks a whole lot more like Russia or China than the supposedly freedom-loving United States of America. From his rough around the edges look to his absolutely carefree attitude, Morgan Wade is supposed to be the anti-JJ Racaza. But sometimes appearances don't just deceive you, they flat out lie. You don't win a gold medal in the X Games and reach the pinnacle of your sport without a ferocious amount of willpower and discipline. By the way, Morgan's a huge gun guy, and I'll prove it to you next episode. But for now, let's talk BMX. So how do you train?
When there's something coming up like X Games or another large contest, I definitely will want to be on the top of my game, and that's where like the traditional discipline of training kind of more so comes in.
What does that look like though?
It looks like I ride a whole lot more.
So it's more about frequency.
It's more about frequency than it is about, like making sure that the grass is perfectly groomed and the Japanese sword making. It's not like not like that crazy like minute. Injury wise, spleen. I ruptured my spleen in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
That sounds painful.
So I fell, ruptured my spleen, didn't know I had done it. I thought I just knocked the wind out of myself. And I was like, I'm laying on the ground and I hear the announcer, "Are you okay?" And I give him the thumbs up. I can't read it, but I'm like, thumbs up. I just knocked the wind out of me. I'm good. Yeah, I'm doing that whole number. And some of the medics are running up there. I sit down and I go, when I lean forward, I was like, ugh! I was like, oh my goodness, that is not good. Like this hurts really bad. So I went to get up and I put my hand down and I was like, that doesn't work. That's how I found out my wrist was broken. Go in the back, lay down, and he pushes right here. And I literally was just like, holy crap, dude. It feels like my arm is being torn off. Not just pulled, torn off. Like, it felt so intense. And he goes, you're going to the hospital, that's your spleen. And I was like, oh crap, I'm in Brazil. So that crosses my mind. And they actually told me they suctioned 2 liters of blood out of my abdominal cavity, which is about a quarter of my entire blood supply. So I was actually pretty close to bleeding out, and that was the end of the game from that one.
So when did you get back on the bike?
10 weeks. 10 weeks. And it wasn't because of my spleen. My spleen was pretty much good, but it was because my wrist wasn't healed yet.
Gotcha. I think it goes without saying. I know you say it's all for fun. You know, you enjoy it. You know, it's something you love to do. I get that. But to literally keep going after that, that's kind of an unspeakable level of discipline that a lot of people don't have.
And that's more, that's a mental thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I looked at it as, dang it, like when can I get back on my bike? And I was, the first couple times I dropped in on a big, because I crashed on a big ramp.
Yeah.
The first couple times I dropped in on a big ramp again, it was in the back of my head, don't get me wrong. I was definitely like,
oh shit, I want to do this shit again.
I don't want to do this again first run, but you have to force yourself to do it at the start. It's way harder to come back from that, because that is a head game. That is the mental discipline we're talking about. That's something I consciously do after I get injured. I will either go and do whatever trick it was I crashed on, like out of the gate, or work to doing that very, very fast and get that little fright out of the way. Because if it's there, it's nagging at you.
It's gonna keep you. It's gonna hold you back.
It's gonna hold you back. Yeah. So I definitely try to, get back at it as fast as possible.
No, what you do is impressive, man. It's incredibly impressive. Yeah.
Thanks.
And I don't think I'm capable of it, but I do appreciate you, having me come out and shoot with you.
Maybe we have to get you on a bike, because it's the same thing. We'll try some stuff out, man.
We'll think about it. Think about it. I wouldn't be completely against that, but yeah, we'll think about it.
All right, it's time to have a little bit of fun, man. You got my open gun.
Okay.
It's called a race gun for a reason. Let's race. There you go. Not too bad. 767. I miss on that?
Yeah, this is the white one.
Jeez. All right, let's do it again.
All right, stand by.
Yeah, 675, sir. 675. So you're only a second and 3/4 away from me. That's it. That's pretty awesome.
On your bad run.
Whatever, right? Let's not get too technical. That was pretty solid, dude. God damn, that was awesome. You smoked that. You absolutely destroyed that.
This was literally one of my favorite segments.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Because first of all, JJ was dope as hell. Like, I need to hire him as my life sensei. Like, I feel like he would improve my effectiveness at anything, like literally anything.
And Morgan getting through that incredible injury and then literally back on the bike, back on the big jumps. I mean, it's
super
impressive.
excited about it.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's cool? What I did, even though it almost killed me. Why don't you try it too?
And then I did it again.
And I'm gonna do it again.
And it's
was
discipline. And it's discipline. And JJ has a focus discipline and Morgan has this power discipline. It was really good lessons there.
And also for people I know you're not interested, but I'm sure for people who are thinking about going into extreme sports like that, I'm sure
Gotcha.
it's very inspiring. JJ's inspiring to me.
Growing up, I actually was very interested in extreme sports. As I got older, I got a little more wussy.
Aware of the reality
I
of the
began,
situation.
reality started to play a bigger part in my life.
That line,
right?
that's death right there.
Yeah, and
That's death
I
right
try to stay
there.
away from that line as much as possible.
Yeah.
Right. Until something that I consider fun happens, and then maybe I'll get closer to it.
Really?
But
I'm planning a trip where I'm gonna bungee jump and go zorbing and.
See, I'm not about that life either.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Or apparently you can risk your life and freedom by going to New Jersey with magazines. Can you explain this to me? Because it makes, I don't get it.
It harkens back to my whole redundant argument that lawmakers making laws about a subject they know nothing about ends up hurting people that we're not worried about.
So what's the law?
Basically, there's a limit in the number of rounds that your magazine can hold.
Why?
Okay. All right. So the clip limit.
The magazine.
Magazine.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
So
Why though?
because they feel like the less number of rounds you have in your magazine, the less damage you can act it.
So for an automatic weapon, you're not going into killing spree because you have fewer.
It forces you to. They believe
Reload.
it forces you to reload, and therefore making it.
Which would give someone else the opportunity to halt the attack during the time.
Assuming
that they
somebody who woke up that day and decided to kill a bunch of people decided to follow the law and said he can only have 7 rounds in his magazine.
Well,
because he
that's
could
fair.
go to Philadelphia and get as many as he wanted.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
He can go anywhere. I mean, they're in that state.
Those 2 cases, they broke the law without knowing that they were breaking the law.
Yes.
Well, am I right that they were
though.
coming in from out of state?
Yeah, because Brian was coming from Colorado. The mom was coming from
Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania, and JJ this was his Guatemala situation.
Yeah, this was like a whole.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And of course, negligence or lack of knowledge of the law is no defense.
It's not.
Well, that's
However,
for training, but even
here's the one thing about the kind of cultist aspect of gun laws in this country, right? This kind of piecemeal, different
this
laws.
patchwork of laws.
Yeah.
Yes.
You essentially have to be if you travel.
Yeah.
You legitimately have to be an attorney in order to navigate all of the various laws. You really.
that's not
honestly.
fair.
If you're doing a road trip and you got a firearm in the car.
I mean, you heard the guy. He literally called the local PD and asked them exactly what he should do with his gun.
And that was crazy to me, but the fact that it sounds like, from what it sounds like, the police didn't know.
No, they don't.
And that's a problem.
That's because because the laws are usually very vague, and they're based on reaction, and they're not thought through. And they're based on ignorance. Like, for instance, Racaza's situation.
Honestly, as someone who is still advocating for like sensible gun control. I was like, stuff like that pisses me off because you've taken the ground from under me. Like now you got me looking crazy. Like, oh, sensible gun laws like this stupid shit. Now I look stupid. Like I don't like.
Yeah, and that comes within the bounds of sensible.
As much fun as we had with this episode, we can all agree that we're in unison. We really liked that, enjoyed that episode quite
Absolutely.
a bit. I enjoyed all of them, but I'm pretty sure you have your misgivings and considering.
There were some good lessons there.
No, this is a good. Like seriously, this is a really good episode.
Yeah,
like, lifestyle, all of that was good.
Absolutely, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And like I said before, JJ just has this way of pulling out all of your inadequacies that you try to ignore on a daily basis. But then inspiring you to fix them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's what's
and I
pretty
think
cool.
we could all pursue our passions in life with that level of discipline.
A quarter of that discipline, and I would seriously
Rule the
do
world,
a lot
right?
better. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You might actually
What
buy
will
a
we
gun.
achieve?
Let's not go too far. Let's not be over.
And I'm gonna end it right there so that she doesn't have time to change her mind. But no.